Hello everyone, welcome to Ask the Oracle. In this new series from RPG Corner, we will be looking into some of the important aspects of EzD6 and how I use them in solo roleplay. Welcome folks, I'm MJ and I will be your host for this video. Today I do have an intro video for this series. It was normally going to be known as RPG Corner. I decided to change the title a little bit to make it a little more interesting. It's going to be called Ask the Oracle, which I think really kind of cements what the series is going to be about. Mostly solo roleplay. We will have a couple of two-player updates and things going on, namely in our membership and Patreon, where I keep all the bonus videos. Which, by the way, if you want to help support the channel, we do have channel memberships now and Patreon memberships, and it's a matter of convenience which one or the other you use. Members and patrons also get a digital copy of Scratchbuilder monthly, in addition to bonus videos from this series or bonus games, okay? Games that you'll only see in those capacities. So let's move on now. We have a lot to go over in this video. And what I decided to do was to start with the game by DM Scotty, EzD6. Now, this game is a gem, and the more I play it, the more I like it. And I have to admit that at first I was a little skeptical, but you got me, DM Scotty. It's actually a very clever and simple system. Now, it's a simple system, but not simplistic. It is, there's a lot of ways to play with the system, and you can add a little bit more complexity to it if you want, but I think the beauty of it, simple mechanic that it uses, and you do find yourself concentrating more on storytelling and less on number crunching, and that's actually a good thing. Julie and I love the system, and we've been playing quite a few games, two-player games, off camera. We found that it was just easier to do this. So first things first, whenever I'm learning a new system, no matter how simple or complex, first thing is character creation. I like to create characters and crunch that down a little bit. And then I do a little example of the battle system. I read over the battle system and then just with very simple terrain, very simple setup, play the battle system a few times and learn it that way, okay? It's a good thing to skim everything first, kind of read through the different sections of the rule set, and then concentrate on creating some characters, learn that aspect, and then go down and do some of the battle system, okay? The first character we're going to go over, first and foremost, is Raza the Little Goblin. She's a goblin delver. And Raza is right now in this world that I created for Julie, really, but I'm developing with my solo games as well. And it's a goblinoid kingdom. This is a hobgoblin kingdom predominantly, but you do have goblins and orcs and ogres and bugbears in this kingdom as well. Okay, so this is a growing kingdom. It's a pretty powerful kingdom, and it's inspired by Kingdoms of Calamar, D&D 3rd edition, which I played in the past, and they had a hobgoblin kingdom, and it worked really well. So I've always loved playing monster races. I'm not much of a human player, although I do play human characters and I enjoy my human characters. I like playing monsters and things that are different and not necessarily in an evil capacity. And it is a kingdom that is also seeing some tension from other kingdoms nearby who don't really trust them or don't really like the idea of a goblinoid kingdom gaining power in, as a neighbor. So a lot of issues, a lot of things going on. Well, for the solo games, I decided to include some modules that I converted to EzD6, and I also converted a quest from EzD6 quest book, the new quest book from DM Scotty, and it's called Pest Control. So I'll have some spoiler alerts, but really the module came out so different when I played it solo. I'm just going to have that there just in case, but it really came out very different, and that's a good thing. And I just kind of tailored it to this Hobgoblin kingdom that Raza is a part of. So this is Raza's character sheet, and I had to handwrite it because I have no printer ink. I will rectify that hopefully soon, but for the time being, I just handwrote it. It's really not that bad. So the first thing we do is we pick a path, and a path in EzD6 is a class, basically. So it's your role in the party. So you could be a warrior, a warden, a delver, a conjurer, anything like that. Raza is a goblin delver, so she's a dungeoneering character, basically. Delvers, any path you choose, any of these classes that you choose, have information in the path description, which you then jot down. They will give you a path boon, and a boon is a bonus. It works by rolling 2d6 and taking the highest. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you have a bane, you simply take 2d6 or higher sometimes, and you take the lowest of the dice that you roll, and that's a bane. In her case, she has a boon in melee and ranged. Plus, I wrote dungeoneering. They said boons to like anything searching on the ground or anything subterranean that has to do with subterranean environments. She has a boon in. So I just wrote dungeoneering to kind of summarize some of that. But it also works in caves. We choose a species. She is a goblin. It just has your very basic kind of, species. You choose them, and this gives you extra ability benefit. I'll turn over the character sheet, and we see that she has nooks and crannies. As a move, a goblin can jump into cover and avoid being attacked for a turn. There has to be cover in the area, of course, if the character doesn't attack. And then she also gets night sight. She can see twice as far in dim light. The bonus inclination comes, I believe, with the path. Okay, you get a bonus inclination with the path of Delver, and so I gave her a danger sense, which cannot be surprised, and they have a boon in avoiding traps. So she's almost like a thief, really. Once you've chosen your path and all the benefits that go with it, your species, you then choose your inclination. Now, inclinations are what define your character further. They're very, very important. And you have 3 inclinations for humans. That is one of the benefits of being human. And 2 for other species. So these are useful abilities and powers that really define your hero. So I chose lockpicking for her. So again, she's very thief-like. As a goblin dungeoneer, it made sense. I gave her lockpicking, and I thought that would be very useful since Raza will spend some time on the ground, most likely. She also has the cat-like inclination, which is a 4+ miracle save when falling. This is very useful. There was a bonus inclination thanks to the Delver path. Now, once you've chosen that, you can choose 2 aspects. Now, aspects are extra things that you can use to really round out your character, to give your character some quirks, some flavor. you can, it just rounds out your hero concept. And the cool thing about aspects is you can generate while you're playing the game. You don't have to do it during character creation. I did, but you can add more aspects later to just as you're playing the character and you're further defining the quirks of your character. You can do that during the game with your rabble-rouser's blessing. And I gave her Pebble Collector, which includes ores, and I mean little bits of ores and stuff. And she's also a light sleeper. So these kinds of things are also a good way for the rabble-rouser to award you some karma. Let's say when you role play these kinds of things, it can earn you some karma. Now, if you're a conjurer, which she is not, so we skip that here, but we are going to do this in a future character, you have to choose a circle of sorcery. And depending on the conjurer that you want to create, it will determine the circle of sorcery that you choose. And this circle is very broad, it's very general, and it's designed so that when you play around with it, you can actually create quite a few different kinds of conjurers depending on what you want, right? But finally, we choose equipment, and she does have a little list of equipment down here. And we have some weapons that we choose. And then if we look over here, this is a very important section. And this is the health. In this game, all characters get 3 health or 3 strikes, meaning if they're hit 3 times, that's it. If they're reduced to 0, that's it. But a character has a lot of ways to save itself from dying. One of them is using armor. And armor gives you a save. So Raza has light armor. So she gets a +5+ save anytime she's hit. If she rolls that 5 or over, she can ignore one of the damaging strikes that's coming in. Okay. The other way is by using a miracle save. Okay. Miracle save is kind of the last chance that you have to avoid a really bad death, okay, such as like from falling off a cliff or something like that. You do have miracle saves which help you. And finally, you have a hero die. Now, the hero die allows you to re-roll any failed roll, such as, let's say, an armor save or a combat roll or something like that. Once you use up that hero die, it's burned. And in order to get another hero die, you have to spend 5 karma. Now that brings me to the karma. Every character starts with 3 karma and 1 hero die. These other also 3 strikes. You start with that as well. These other things are the miracle save comes with the path that you choose. And so does the armor. Okay, so that information is given to you when you choose your path. So this is the armor save of the Delver, and this is the miracle save of the Delver. Now, karma is a very important resource. You can use karma to re-roll failed rolls, but they can't be 1s. That is the thing. If you roll a 1, that's it. You got to use a hero die to re-roll a 1. Okay, karma will not help you there. But you can use karma to re-roll all other kinds of things. Okay, so spot checks that may fail, as long as they're not 1s, you can use your karma. It's a valuable resource. So usually the rabble-rouser will award karma throughout the game. When you fail a roll, you get a karma awarded, usually 1 karma. So that's cool. You can build up karma that way for good role-playing, all different situations that the rabble-rouser decides can give you karma. He will usually award you 1 or 2 karma. And that is it. That's character creation.
But I don't want to be a conjurer. I want to be a unicorn. All right. I'll be a druid.
Don't worry, Julie. DM Scotty's got you on this one too. So if you want to do a druid, what I do, and again, this is very my own interpretation, my own opinion, really, and that's it. But for the druid, one way that it could be done is simply take the conjurer as a template, and the conjurer path can serve as a template for many different kinds of magic users. You're just playing around with the inclinations, and that's it. And the sorcery schools, the schools of magic, that's very important as well. So for the druid, you could give him botanicalist. If you want a druid that's more has the power of manipulating plants and things like that, the botanicalist with the conjurer as template, that works very well. And you can change instead of the staff ability that the conjurer comes with, which shoots the lightning, you can keep it as lightning because it's a natural thing, right? Or magical ray, whatever it is. You can change that to vines. So the staff shoots vines, or the staff becomes a snake and like shoots a snake head that comes out and bites, whatever you want. In that sense, you can do a little house ruling and then change that a little bit, and then that gives you a druid with the botanicalist school of magic.
Which one? They're both cute. What do you think?
To make other characters using EzD6, things that are not on the list, simply by using the rules and kind of maybe adding a little bit of house ruling here and there, but you really don't have to do much. That's what I'm finding. So for, let's say, a bugbear character, there are no bugbears in EzD6, but one thing that I could do for my bugbear character, one interesting note is that bugbears in classical lore actually classified as fae. Bugbears are actually a kind of fae, which was news to me. And I think in D&D, in contemporary fantasy, a bugbear is more a goblinoid creature, right? Which is fine. I mean, that it doesn't really matter. But the thing is that if I want to stick to that sort of classical lore with the bugbear, I could use the elf species designation, just call it a bugbear, use the twilight sight that the elves have, and a boon to resist mind-altering magics. So because of that Fey descendants, the bugbear can resist magic a little more, and then use my paths and inclinations, which are very important, to further define the bugbear species, right? So because these things can help define the species as well. So for my bugbear, I can make them a brute because they're big, and then give them inclinations that go work with that, whatever my interpretation of the bugbear is. Now, if I want to stay with a more D&D-ish classification for bugbears, then again, maybe removing the nooks and crannies from the goblin and just keeping the night sight, and then again using my brute path and whatever inclinations to kind of, again, further define the species aspect and kind of make my bugbear character that way. Okay, and now solo play. All right, because up until this point, a lot of what I've said and the little basic rules overview is two-player. I mean, this is what these are the game rules, but solo play is a completely different animal for sure. And one of the things about the EzD6 rules that I learned very quickly as I started to solo play is that it contains almost everything you need already for solo play. A bunch of tables already written here. Some of these are my own little oracles that I've made up, and others come straight from EzD6. When you go in the back of the book, there's the handy bits section. That's all you need. And that's great. That's what I love about this game. That's all you need. And in two-player mode, it's also true. I mean, all these tables give you the roles that you need to keep the game going. And for solo play, it becomes very, very useful. Now, let me just bring attention to one table in EzD6 is the searching probability. and then there is a sort of notes on the likelihood, when to use these probabilities, etc. So it goes by number of d6s. So a likely probability, you're rolling 4d6. A probably not, but still possible, is a 2d6. And there's little chance, is a 1d6. Now, you may give boons or banes, depending on the situation as well. But this table, this raw little table, was extremely useful in my solo play, because there came situations where Raza was searching for something, and then I just looked at the table and asked myself, okay, well, how likely is it that she's going to find something in this chamber? All right, and that comes from knowing the chamber, knowing the description that the module gives you. Remember, I was playing a D&D module converted to EzD6, etc., etc. And so to add an extra little randomness to the whole thing, imagination, you could definitely modify this table for spot checks, for any number of things when you're playing solo. When you're role-playing, you definitely want something that emulates the DM. And I'm using very basic oracles from Oracle-RPG.com. It has 17 different oracles. It's great. It has a ton of different oracles, and you can use those in many different capacities. You can use one of those, two of those, three of those, whatever you want, depending on your situation. And like I said, these are free. And I'm using number 1 and 2, which I have copied down, which is the Fate Oracle. It's a very easy 1d6 oracle, and it gives you the yes and, yes, or yes but, you know, and that kind of thing. And then it has a likelihood table right underneath it to modify, to give you a modifier. So is it almost certain that this is going to happen? Is it very likely? Is it likely? Is there a 50-50 chance? So you give yourself a modifier based on those circumstances, and that kind of helps give more detail to the oracle. Now, one thing about oracles, and this, I'm a newbie at all this, I'll say that first and foremost, but one thing about oracles is that it is, first of all, the answers you get are very vague on purpose. It is your interpretation of the situation based on the game, okay? So it's very subjective. And when you guys, when we start playing the one-shot games, you will see everything that's going on is my interpretation, and my interpretation only based on my game, okay? Your interpretation would be different, and that's okay. That's the nature of this, right? So the harder thing, using the oracles is very easy. The harder thing is the interpretations. And I'm finding that comes with more and more solo experience. The more games I play, the better I get at kind of honing in the different situations and honing in on an answer and interpreting those answers, you know, based on the situation. I think that does come with a little bit of experience. So, A Dark and Stormy Night is a game that I've been practicing. I played several games already solo using EzD6 mechanics. It was a lot easier than I thought to actually transfer those mechanics to the module. And then the big question becomes, well, how do you play the module when you know everything that's going to happen in the module? And that's a big part of you know, playing solo. One of the disadvantages is, of course, you have to randomize things. You have to do things in such a way that you're still going to enjoy playing the module despite the information that you know or don't know. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to randomize it. I came up with a mechanic. We'll discuss that in a future video. I really don't have time to discuss it in this video, but it uses a deck of cards, a deck of index cards that I prepared with EzD6 monsters that I, in my opinion, that according to my interpretation, that I thought would fit in those chambers to take the place of the D&D monsters that were there, and I kept a couple of the D&D monsters and just gave them EzD6 stats, again based on interpretation. And the rules do have some of those typical kind of D&D or contemporary fantasy monsters. It gives you tips on some of, you know, the conversions and stuff. It does have a list that kind of compares EzD6 monsters and some of these contemporary monsters. So basically, that's all I did. And then every time I played the game, it was different because the rooms are randomized thanks to the cards. And so I just kind of mapped things out a little bit as I went. And so it was interesting to see how the map changed every time I played. So it does change the order of the map. It changes the module a little bit. But it gives me enough randomization plus all the Oracle tools that I was using to really make the module interesting and fun. Now, there were areas that I used as they were, like the treasures and things like that. Some of the room contents, they all were as they were, and so I knew that they were going to come up, but I didn't know exactly when they were going to come up and so forth. So again, it was random enough that it was interesting, but still kept the flavor of the module, if that makes any sense. So we'll discuss that more in the future. I'm going to be doing a lot more playing with this. I have a lot of these modules in my collection, and I'm going to try some of those, some of my favorite modules. And then I'm also going to be using those in our two-player games for Julie, because I think it'll be very cool to bring her through her EzD6 characters, bring her through some of these modules. So, we will continue with future videos. Usually we'll do a one-shot game. That is next. We're going to play Pest Control because we got to have an example of a game. But I wanted to get this video out of the way to discuss these things. And sometimes I'll play the game first, and then we'll have a follow-up video and kind of go back, and you guys can see a little bit of my setup, and we'll talk about some of the things going on, you know, behind the scenes. If you're interested in converting modules to your favorite play system and then using the Oracle and playing that solo, there are many different ways of doing it. Okay, so I am doing a lot of converting of these old modules like Tomb of Horrors for D&D, one of my favorite D&D modules. And Julie's going to be playing that with a couple of friends in EzD6. We're going to use EzD6, but I'm still not finished with the converting process. And of course, there's scratch builds involved in this as well. Okay, so these are all topics we can go over in the future in this series. Ask the Oracle. Folks, I think that's enough. I went through a lot of information, and I hope that this is useful in some way, shape, or form. And come join me for this new series. I really am enjoying this solo play thing, solo RPG play, and it's just another little thing we'll add in addition to our miniature war games. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Ask the Oracle. And remember, guys, enjoy your games. Whatever you do, enjoy your hobby. I'll talk to you soon.